Said I make a meal and they look at me funny, but the funny thing is that I don't need to study. I can see my future and it's 2020, and I made them say, oh, like the new Kid Cudi. Why you laughing in my face? I'm not too funny. Why you say I'm a disgrace? You say you love me. Why you saying on my heart when you really don't? Why you tell me play my part like I really won't? Why you say that you're at home when you really aren't? Why you say my music sucks when it's really art? Summer 18 with lots of drama. Summer 18 with lots of comments. Beauty queen and a queen of drama.
I try to get it like kind of like cropped.
Okay, I got it.
You asshole, that's how it's zoomed in. What's up guys, my name is Justin and today I'm gonna show you how to take some sick ass pictures of your cars. Stay tuned. Just a disclaimer so y'all don't bitch at me in the comments. Just a disclaimer real quick so you guys don't bitch at me in the comments. I am by no means a professional photographer. I do this as a hobby. I'm an amateur, and what I'm going to show you guys today is some of the tips and tricks that I found helpful in my experience photographing my car and my friends' cars. Tell you what, before we start any real business, the number one tip, always stay strapped. Always.
Always.
This place is freaking cool. Alright guys, so this spot is pretty awesome. If you really want to know where we are and where we're shooting, you should follow us on Instagram. What's your Instagram, Tyler?
8.2K RPMs, baby.
And mine is Justin_the Jeep guy. And if you really want to know where we are, shoot us a DM and we will answer you. Because this road is beautiful. And to show you guys where we're at and how gorgeous it is, we brought the drone. We're gonna fly it and get some video for you guys.
Just have some nice drone footage, you know?
Yeah.
Some nice drone.
If you got a drone, there's literally no reason to not use it. It just makes the video that much better, you know? Alright guys, we're gonna shoot you up into the drone footage right now. Sorry for the wind guys, if there is any wind noise. It's a little windy out here. We're doing the best of what we can. Tyler's got his little rig fixed up so we can
always doing this shit.
Avoid the wind noise, but I think it'll work out. But if there is any, we apologize ahead of time. So for all of our videos for Lifted and Lowered and all of the edits that we kind of make, we use a Canon EOS 77D. It's Tyler's camera. It's really nice. It's pretty expensive, but today in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to take pictures with any camera, including iPhones. And by no means do you guys have to spend that much money on a camera to get good, solid pictures. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Scrape life. So whenever I'm shooting cars, the first thing I look for is what makes that car unique. And when you take a picture of a car, you want to highlight that unique feature. You don't want just a bland, just wherever you are, just click picture. You want to be able to focus on what's unique on the car. So if, for example, if we were talking about Tyler's car, what makes his car unique, the contrast of the flat black wheels to the shiny black paint and how that brings out a nice contrast. Definitely say the wide body is very unique. You want to take pictures highlighting the wide body. And from the rear end, I really like the carbon fiber ducktail and the tail lights. Those stand out a lot. And so when we're taking pictures, we're going to want to keep those aspects in mind and really highlight those. So if we're talking about my Jeep, what makes it unique and the features I want to highlight is definitely the tires. They're super meaty and luggy and they bring out a nice light and dark contrast. Definitely the blue paint, very unique, and it pops a lot in pictures, especially when you kind of get like a yellowish dirt background. And so when you're shooting, no matter what car, it's going to have unique features, whether the car's stock or modified. You just have to look at what makes that car unique so you can really bring out that effect and make it pop in the picture. So what just happened is when I'm looking at Tyler's car from this way and I'm looking straight down the line, I really wanted that tree in the background to give it some contrast. So I had him pull up for the picture. So on this camera, there's a lot of advanced settings, and we are still learning this camera, but the two main things that we use when we shoot are ISO and shutter speed, and those are gonna be very important. We'll show you guys what these are up close. So essentially ISO, which is this button right here, in its most basic definition is how much light is let into the lens when you're taking a picture. So the lower the number, the less light's gonna be let in. So if we go up on these settings and you go all the way up, the picture's gonna get really bright. And we're actually gonna throw images up on the screen right now of Tyler's car with the ISO too high and then the ISO too low so you guys can compare. The second most important thing is the shutter speed. And the shutter speed essentially is how long the shutter in the lens opens and closes to take a picture. So the shutter speed is represented by this number here, this is representing a fraction of a second. And I can adjust it by turning this dial up at the top. So when you turn this dial, you want it, when it's really light out and it's during the day, you want it at a smaller number. And so when it's a number like this, you take a picture and the shutter goes so that number is even still too big. So we got to go even smaller because it's letting a lot of light in. So that picture got a little bit darker. We can try to even go smaller. There we go. That looks like a solid picture. We have good colors, good lighting. So when you have a high number, the shutter's gonna be open for longer, more light's gonna be coming in, but at the same time, if you don't have a tripod or anything, anytime you take a picture with a high shutter speed, like say half a second, and you move it around, you're not even gonna see, this could be a white picture, too much light is blended. But let's see, if I take a picture of down here, and then it kind of moves around, shaky by the hand, the picture's gonna look all jacked up. So you want to keep your shutter speed low during the day, and those are settings you can adjust with based on the time of day and the lighting that you can find will work for you and to make a good quality picture. So what's going to happen next is I'm going to take pictures of Tyler's car with this camera, and I'm going to walk you guys through my thought process and the angles and everything that I'm choosing so you guys can see what I'm doing and how I'm approaching the situation. This angle I usually approach on a car is what I call, it's kind of right down the middle. So you look at the front of the car and you come to that corner, and then you want to be looking straight down to the back corner. So you kind of get the full car. You get a side shot and a front shot. And this is one of my favorite angles. I think it looks the best. And essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting low to the ground, taking pictures like this. Then I'm going to come up and kind of point the camera down just to get some kind of depth and direction to the picture. Next, how I approach is after starting from this angle, essentially what you're going to do is you want to shift either left or right. In this case, I'm going to shift right. And there's angles, I don't know the name of it. I know this is like an actual terminology, but when you look at the car from here, like get kind of right behind me so you can see so this is where I just took a picture. So right here. So where this front end of the car comes to the corner, which is right here and goes all the way back, where I want to be looking at that corner all the way to an imaginary line to the back corner of the car. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sidestep over, and there's a term for this. I don't know what it's called, but I want this half of the front of the car, I want this length to be half of this entire length. So I don't know what the angle is, but it's a real thing, trust me. And that shot looks pretty good. And then what I want to do is I want to go back to the middle and then come the other way. So I want this length to kind of be, in a sense, half of this. So this is going to show up a lot more, and you can kind of rotate to get all the angles of the car. So after getting the front angles down, basically you're going to kind of repeat that on all edges of the car, wherever it allows. Obviously, I'm not going to be standing over there by the tree because I can't get the full view of the car and I'll be standing in the dirt. But for whatever it allows, do those angles. So for this time, I'm going to be standing, I'm going to be facing the back corner, and I want to imagine a line going all the way to the opposite corner on the front side. Then you want to repeat that process. You want to take low pictures, kind of come up to medium height, higher, and then highest, just to get everything. It's better to have too many pictures and throw away bad ones that you don't like than it is to not have enough pictures. Amen. So I'm assuming most of you guys are watching this video and learning how to take pictures of the car for Instagram. And one tip I'd like to point out that I've noticed on my Instagram account is when you take pictures in portrait mode, which is like straight up and down, When you post a picture, it fills up a lot more of the screen. And typically for me, those pictures get a lot more exposure than ones that are landscape, because when you're scrolling through, you get a picture that's this big, versus if portrait, you get a picture that's this big, and people are more likely to like actually look at it. The picture's bigger and more brighter, takes up a lot more space. So that is also a tip. Don't be afraid to shoot in portrait mode. I know people kind of get bitchy and say, oh, you should only shoot in landscape. Not true. Do what you want. Alright, so before we get into the editing portion of this video, if you enjoyed the tips and tricks in the first part, make sure to drop a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through how I edit pictures and the process behind that. So to start off with, I'm using Lightroom, the Adobe software. I think I pay $10 a month for Lightroom and Photoshop. It's not an expensive price to pay, but it is a really good software. I'd highly recommend it. But there are other free ones out there. Also, a little bit besides the point, I do really like the Instagram built-in editing features. Those are really good, so you can always just use those if you don't want to pay for Lightroom or software like this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a few of my favorite shots and edit it live for you guys and walk you guys through my process and how I evaluate pictures and what it takes to make them look good. So let's see, let's choose a picture. Let's go to this one. What a solid picture. There's also this one. I like this view better. Okay, so first, right off the bat, see the car is in focus. Good colors so far. It's a really great start, a really solid base picture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my little crop window, and I really just want to make sure with all these guidance lines that this license plate frame is super straight. That's a really solid reference to make sure that the picture is super straight and not crooked and displeasing to the eye. So after that, I usually start and just kind of go down the list. I think it's organized really well. So we're going to start off with the lighting up here. Picture is pretty bright. I might drop down the exposure just a tad and bring up the contrast. I'm going to drop the highlights because when you see in the background, the sky is really light, and I want to just kind of take this whole thing down. Also, the whites in the sky, you can drop those too. It kind of will just lighten out the whole picture. I think it looks much better. You get a lot more of a contrast. I'm going to bring shadows up just a bit, just to get a little more definition on the car. And then the black I'm probably just going to leave. Let's see, so now we're going to go to the color, and we can mess with the tints first. So first thing I do is I boost the vibration, maybe about 30, whatever. This looks like maybe 25% of the whole spectrum. I usually keep it just about there. And for this picture, what I really like to do, I'm noticing a lot of orange hues in the background. And one thing we can do later in the editing process is we can put an orange tint on it to make it more dramatic. But when we start with here, I like to make this picture a little bit cooler. So the blues and the blacks look cool, but when we put an orange tint on it later, the scenery will pop out a lot more. So I'm going to start off like this. Let's see, let's kind of mess around. Let's see, I like the green hue a little bit better, so we're going to try to take out some of those purples. Down here we can go to the color mixer, and let's see. So I really want the picture to have a lot of warmth. I'm probably going to drop the greens to make them a little more yellow, and then we're going to boost that. And then this luminance, it just makes the colors brighter or darker, so you can kind of see there. It lightens up the trees and darkens it. I like them light. I think that looks really good. I really want that background to pop. So with these yellows, I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to kind of drag those down to orange, so this is kind of more of just a uniform color in the background. You don't have the yellows, the oranges, and greens up here. It's just kind of going to look like all the same time of the year. Let's see, we can boost that. I really like that. Maybe drop these even a little more. That's perfect. Bring up the luminance. Yeah, this is going to be a fantastic picture. I'm stoked. Can't wait to show Tyler these. So we're going to go to the reds. Reds I'd like to make pop out in the taillight just a little bit more, just to make it stand out. Let's see, if there's any purple hues, kind of want to drop those. If you can see, a lot of the times around the red there will be kind of maybe a slight purple halo or in the shadows of the trees, so we can drop those out so those get less purple. I don't really want a lot of purple in this picture. So if you see what I mean from earlier, the road kind of looks bluish and same with the black on the car, but if you go up into the sunlight and the scenery, it's going to be a lot of greens and oranges, so it's a really nice contrast. Then we're going to drop down to clarity, and I like to boost the clarity kind of a lot. It really makes the picture a lot more dramatic. It sharpens up the background and really brings out the definition of the highlights in the car, makes the car look a lot shinier. Definitely going to put a vignette on it. Let's drop it down. Too much. Right there, looks really good. The dehaze feature is kind of tricky. Sometimes if you put too much color editing in it, if you try to make have some fade on your picture, it kind of goes a little wonky, but I don't know. Maybe drop it to that much. There you go. That looks really good. And really, guys, this is just a super simple process. It's basically just going down here and you just kind of mess around and figure things out. I've been doing this for a while, so I can kind of look at a picture and I can just know right off the bat what I want to do to it and what it needs. But when you're first starting out, the software is super easy to use, and you basically just kind of fiddle with it until the picture looks right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the highlights right here and I'm going to boost the highlight a little bit in the orange. Oh yeah, it brings out the background a lot. So then you can also drag it. You can kind of see what tints you want on it. This is also really good because if you have a themed Instagram, you can set the highlights, because the highlight kind of controls the whole picture and what the whole picture looks like. If you do each picture you post as like a certain amount of highlight, your Instagram's going to look really uniform. Also really depends on the preference if you're taking pictures for someone else. If they post in like a lot of like blue tinted pictures, like even that looks amazing. Any of these. It's just kind of the vibe you're going for. I'm going to keep it kind of summery and maybe a little less. And I noticed the background's really orange. I want to bring some of that blue back, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make the picture a little cooler again. It's too much. It's kind of lagging out. There we go. That's perfect. We take this turquoise here. We can boost that. That really didn't do too much, unfortunately. But yeah, that was an amazing picture, if I do say so myself. I'm going to call this one done, and we can move on to the next picture. Alright guys, before we end this picture, I want to just take the time to show you guys a before and after, just so you guys can see what we did. So let's click Show Original. That's where the picture started out at. Really solid base picture, and we turned it into this mastery. Boom. Super solid, really happy with it. Now let's move on to the next picture. Alright guys, so we're back with the next picture. One thing I want to say real quick is when you're taking a picture out in the field and you can't get the lighting quite right, it's okay. Just take the picture anyways, because you can always go back and edit it, and softwares like these are really powerful. So I kind of took a picture that had a little bit bad lighting. The picture's probably too bright. There's a little sun flare right here. Some people might view that as like a blemish or a mistake, but I think it's kind of cool. So we're going to kind of work with it. So this picture, not all the colors seem pretty faded out. The hood, you can't really see the blue too much, and that's kind of what we want to pop in the picture. So we'll see what we can work with. So we're going to start out with the light. We're going to drop the exposure down just a tad. Boost the contrast just a little bit. And the highlights, let's drop the highlights all the way. We can get some of that color back. Maybe bring the picture a little lighter again. Cool. And then we're going to take the shadows, boost the shadows just a tad so we can kind of see the undercarriage and the tires kind of light up. That's already starting to look much better now that the whole hood being white is gone. So we can kind of drop the white just a tad. Alright, that's pretty good for the lighting. Now let's move on to the color. Again, like we said last time, I want to boost the vibrance to about 25%-ish of that full bar right here. Like in the last picture, when I shoot cars all in one area or one scene, I normally like to make all the pictures kind of look the same and look like they belong together and they're all part of the same kind of shoot. So I always usually edit the pictures from one day pretty similar to all the other ones, but whenever you're at different locations, sometimes the editing might be different. But since we all shot at the same location, I'm going to edit Tyler's pictures of his car like I'm going to edit mine, so they all look uniform. Also guys, stay tuned. After this tutorial, I'm going to edit the rest of the pictures and put up a slideshow at the end so you guys can see. So we're going to mess with the colors. I want to make the picture a little cooler. probably about 9, 10 will work. Get rid of those purples, make the green tint come out. That's pretty good. Actually make the green a little less. But we're going to go into the color selection over here. What I want to do is I really want to focus on the blue. The blue really makes the Jeep pop and it really contrasts the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the turquoise and I'm going to drag the turquoise all the way over here so it's blue throughout the whole Jeep. It's a uniform color. If you do this, this is different and lighter than the rest, but we drop that down, it looks a lot better. Boost the color, maybe darken it just a tad. Much better. Now we're going to go into the blues. Blues, I definitely want to boost those. I want a nice rich blue color. Maybe drop that. That's a really nice blue. It's not too in your face, but it's definitely going to contrast the background. So now what I like to do is, you know how I said in the video, you want to make the uniqueness of the car contrast the background. So we are going to take the greens in the trees and drop them, make them yellow, boost the color, boost the luminance. And we're going to do the same thing with the yellows, drop it to make it orange, boost the color, boost the luminance, and drop that even more. So this is perfect, this is exactly what I want. So this whole thing, the whole background looks like a uniform color. It's all kind of the same. You don't have greens in the trees, you know, yellows over here, some more yellows and oranges on the ground. It's all kind of one orange color, which is really good. You really want the main focus of the picture to be popping and contrasting the background. So we're going to go to the oranges, maybe drop the oranges a little bit, boost them, make them a little darker. That looks pretty damn good. Take the same thing as the last picture, take the purples out, take the pinks out. We don't want all that. We're going to move down to the effects, we're going to boost the clarity. Oh yeah, that looks awesome. Now we're going to take the vignette and we're going to... That works. Dehaze, maybe we'll go a little bit of a fade. I like fade because it makes the picture look uniform, like it looks like a 2D picture. It doesn't pop too much. Maybe boost it to around nah, 5's too much. Let's go 3. We're going to come down here to the highlights, and the highlights I really want to stay orange like the last picture. That looks gorgeous. Too much. Perfect. I like where that sits. Maybe, yeah, it's a great picture. I'm going to call it done for that one. Let's show you guys the original. It's where we started out as. Pretty crappy picture. The lighting was all off, but with a little bit of editing and Lightroom help, you can make it look solid. Alright guys, that was it for the editing tutorial. Stay tuned for the slideshow I'm going to put up at the end of all the pictures we took, all finalized and edited. If you guys aren't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. If you aren't already, follow us on Instagram. Mine is Justin_the Jeep Guy. Tyler's is 8.2K RPMs. You can see all these pictures and more there. We have amazing content. We're going to have a lot more shoots coming in the future. We're going to be putting out a lot more videos, and we are stoked. So please, if you want to stay up to date with us, follow us on there and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Hope you have a wonderful day. Lifted and Lowered is out. Peace.